Hello, welcome to our webinar, Matchmaking with Macmillan Library. I'm Donna Seaman, Adult Books Editor at Booklist. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom an hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links. You can also download the slides and title list by typing the URL on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a section for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we will pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you later. Booklist offers closed captioning on all our webinars. To enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the live transcript icon on the toolbar. From there, you can select Show or Hide Subtitles from the menu. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of the captions at any time by selecting Caption Settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates the standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. Well, we have a wonderful program for you today. Let's meet our panelists. We will hear from Amanda Camarco, the Library Marketing Senior Manager. She coordinates the library marketing activities of Macmillan's adult publishers, which includes, hi Amanda, which includes St. Martin's Publishing Group, Henry Holt, Tor Publishing Group, Picador, Farrar, Straus and Giroux, Celadon, Wednesday, and Flatiron Books. That's such a lineup. After saying farewell to her home state of Georgia and attending NYU's Summer Publishing Institute, Amanda joined the library marketing world and has never looked back. A longtime lover of libraries, Amanda loves to share her passion for all things fantasy, sci-fi, romance, and horror, but she'll read anything that comes with a good recommendation. That's the way to go. We'll hear from Emily Day, Associate Manager, Library Marketing and YA Specialist. After receiving her Master of Arts degree in Children's Literature from Simmons University in Boston, Emily joined the Macmillan Library team in 2017, and she reads mostly YA. She loves contemporary fiction and fairy tale retellings, but will occasionally spice things up with an adult thriller or romance. Emily was proud to be named a Publisher Weekly Star Watch honoree. In 2019, you can find her on Twitter at mday-. Michelle Timmons is the Library Marketing Coordinator at Macmillan. After graduating from the University of Denver with a degree in English, she attended NYU Summer Publishing Institute. She interned for St. Martin's Publishing Group before becoming the assistant for the merchandise sales team and then for the academic and library marketing teams. Michelle is so happy to have landed in her current role. She loves mysteries, thrillers, historical fiction, and family sagas, but she'll read pretty much anything if someone with good taste recommends it. In her free time, you can find her taking a dance class, searching for the best chai latte, or needle pointing. She's a proud fourth-generation Colorado native, but now calls New York City home. And then we have even more excitement for you. We have Casey McQuiston. Yes, that Casey McQuiston. She will give us a glimpse into her new book, and I will now hand things over to our wonderful Macmillan panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Donna, and hello, friends, and welcome to our Spring-Summer 2024 preview. Like Donna said, I'm Amanda, and I'm here with my colleagues Emily and Michelle, and we are Macmillan's Library Marketing Department. We have so much fun in store for you, so just get ready for just an hour full of books. We're going to start off today's event hearing from author Casey McQuiston about their forthcoming novel, and then we're going to move into some exciting matchmaking book buzz sections where we'll match you and each other with the perfect reads based on genre. First up, just some quick housekeeping. Here are all the places you can find us on the internet. Please follow us or sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date on all of the great news and activities from the Mac Lib team. And then on the next slide, many of the titles that we are talking about today already are or will be available to read on Edelweiss. If you're not already whitelisted for automatic downloads, shoot me an email at this email address on the screen and I will hook you up. The next slide, if you want to hear about forthcoming titles more regularly, Happy Half Hour is a weekly book talking series that my department does every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And basically it's 30 minutes where we talk about upcoming adult and YA titles along with some other fun banter. So definitely check us out there. And so next, we're going to dive right in, and I'd like to invite Casey to join us on screen. Casey McQuiston is a #1 New York Times bestselling author of romantic comedies, including One Last Stop, I Kissed Shara Wheeler, and Red, White, and Royal Blue, and whose writing has appeared in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Bon Appetit. Born and raised in Southern Louisiana, Casey now lives in New York City with a poodle mix named Pepper. Their next book, The Pairing, comes out in August, and I just cannot tell you how excited I am. So welcome, Casey, and why don't you tell us all about it?
Thank you so much, Amanda. Hi, everybody. It is so great to be here and to, I guess, meet all of you, even though I can't see you. I know you're there, and it's great to talk to you. Before I jump in, I just want to, I really have to shout out librarians everywhere for how much I love all of you. Not only do y'all tend to serve as an unpaid street team for, especially for marginalized authors and authors who are just starting out in this big scary world and putting our books in the hands of readers who need them, but you are also providing a safe place for queer and trans readers, especially young queer and trans readers, to explore their identity through fiction, through books, through just being in community with each other. And you are the front lines of the book banning situation, to put it lightly, the censorship culture war that is happening in America right now. And I just want you to know how appreciated that is by authors like me, whose books often do wind up targeted for ridiculous reasons. I appreciate everything that you do. You're some of my favorite people in the world, and I really cannot thank you enough. But yeah, I just had to get that off my chest before we started, or else it was going to be exploding out of me by the end. But onward, let's talk about The Pairing, which is my third adult romance, my fourth book total, and my newest book coming out in August from St. Martin's Press. Could not be more excited to talk to you guys about this book because I love it a lot. I guess I'll start by telling you where this book started for me. I think it was a couple years ago when I began sort of formulating the idea for this book. And at that point, I was really desperate to reconnect with where I started as a writer and what brings me joy. Writing for me began, as much as I always wanted to be a professional writer and to do this job, it was also my passion project. It was the thing that made me happiest, my escape from the world. And when that becomes your job, as much as it's what you've always dreamed of, it also comes with a lot of other things. And I had reached a point where I really wanted to remember what I loved about this type of art that I do, and what brought me joy about it and what continues to bring me joy about it. When I strip everything else away, where do I go? And I discovered that where I go is what inspires me, and what inspires me often is beautiful sights, faraway places, food, drink, architecture, art, travel, just discovery. I feel like discovery is kind of the name of the game. And I was so immediately caught up in the feelings of joy and pleasure I get from thinking about discovering new things and going new places. And then at the same time, I have published several books where the main character is openly bisexual, but often those books are called gay or lesbian books because of the type of romance that they depict, which is not something that upsets me, but it is something that makes me curious about what I would have to write to have a book described as a bisexual novel. And I kind of followed that curiosity to coming up with a dynamic for a pairing, no pun intended, for this book. And so I had sort of those two ideas in my head, and they came together to become this idea of two bisexual exes who are unintentionally, against their wills, accidentally reunited 4 years after they broke up for a beautiful, sensuous, decadent food and wine tour through Europe. And sort of stuck together on this tour bus with a bunch of other delightful strangers, trying to navigate where they fit into each other's lives now, and how they've changed and what they put each other through in the past. And that's the pairing. So the pairing is about Theo and Kit. They were childhood best friends. They were each other's secret crush for years. They finally got together when they were sort of college aged and had, a beautiful, passionate, intense relationship for a few years. And then, due to reasons I won't spoil, had a terrible fight on the transatlantic flight to the European food and wine tour of their dreams, broke up, went their separate ways, have not seen or spoken to each other in 4 years. But what they do both have in common is a voucher to take this tour to another date. It's good for 48 months. It's about to expire. And unbeknownst to each other, they both had the exact same idea to book the last possible tour they could take. And they don't discover this until they board the tour bus on the first day and are confronted with the ghost of their love of their lives. So that is sort of the setup. And we are leading with the premise of Theo challenges Kit to see who can sleep with their hot Italian tour guide first, Fabrizio, who is a character you'll all find very delightful, hopefully. And as sort of an attempt to prove to each other just how over each other they are, they say, why not stop there? Why not a full-on competition to see who can pull the most sexy Europeans in each individual stop on their tour? And we kind of go from there. And I just love this book so much. It is a full five senses experience. I was wanting to pull every tool out of my toolkit, every sensation out of the air that I could come up with that felt like it was immersive and bringing people into what it would be like to be on this experience. I traveled to Europe. I went to a lot of the cities on this tour. I took a lot of the same, pastry tours and tapas crawls and, chocolate tours, drank a lot of the same wine, stayed in a lot of the same neighborhoods, tried really hard to bring that sort of visceral, physical experience into the book. And it was such a blast to write. It was so much fun. It was, just this exercise in exploring gender and sexuality and love and human connection through this lens of art and food and architecture and sex and just these silly, strange, fluctuous connections that you make as you travel. I've been pitching this book as maximalism. It is a maximalist book. We're not pulling back on anything. We're not taking anything off the menu. We're not leaving anything on the table. We are here to taste it and drink it and experience it all. And I would describe it as a book that loves being a book, because a lot of my intention with writing this book was to remember why I loved writing books. Not that I had forgotten, but I wanted to be reminded. And so I think it's all of the things that only a book can be. So for example, it is a split POV. So the first half of the book is Theo's point of view, and the second half of the book is Kit's point of view. And I sat down and I plotted each half of the book with sort of traditional 3-act structure, so that each half of the book has a beginning, a middle, and the end, and feels like a complete story for that character, and is sort of propelling the reader all the way through till we get to the midpoint, and then we switch POV and we are having a whole different story a whole different side of the same story. And I was really just sitting down every day trying to challenge myself as a writer, diving into each of their different voices and trying to embody Theo and embody Kit as I was writing, and to feel how Theo is this sort of irreverent, unapologetic, unpolished sort of character, very brash, very outgoing, very confident, but also with a lot of insecurities at the same time. And then Kit, on the other hand, is this really poetic, sensitive, passionate, tender soul who just holds back nothing in his narration. We've got interludes, we've got prologues, we've got epilogues, we've got maps, we've got fun interstitial treats for every chapter. We've got kind of experiments in how the chapters are structured. So instead of numbered chapters, each section of the book is one of the destinations on the tour, which I found so delightful when the team at Macmillan started reading, because I would have meetings and I would ask people, where are you in the book? And people would be like, oh, I'm in Paris. Well, I'm in Palermo. I'm in Saint-Jean-de-Luz. I'm in Barcelona. And it was this delightful moment of people feeling like they were in that place. Like that's where they were in the story. So I'm very proud of what I've been able to, in my opinion, accomplish in bringing the reader into this world and into each stop on the tour and into this really intense connection between these two people who, they've been each other's person their entire lives. Even when they were broken up, even when they weren't speaking, there was no one who had a greater presence in their life than each other. And they come back together as more mature adults who have changed and grown and had different epiphanies about their own gender and presentation while they were apart, and are learning that it's possible they've grown into two people who are even more perfect for each other than they were before. I just think this is the proudest I've maybe ever been of a book. And I just have to say, beyond that, I do think it's a really good time. I think it's really fun. The dedication I wrote for this book is just simply for pleasure. And so much of what I was chasing when I was writing this book was hedonism and this feeling of not apologizing for pleasure being this beautiful vehicle through which we can understand ourselves and understand each other. And in that vein, I think this book is just a good time. I think it's a lot of fun. I put in everything I want to read in a book. And so it is funny. It is full of references to art and architecture and pop culture. It is hopefully going some places that you maybe haven't seen in a romance novel published in a mainstream way before. It is super horny, super smutty. It's by far my spiciest book yet. It is in conversation with everything from E.M. Forster to Tolkien to Top Gun to the Renaissance. It is just so much of everything, and everything that it is delicious. And I just adore it, and I can't wait for all of you to read it. I think it will surprise a lot of people. I think it will provide kind of an incredible escapist read on those last days of summer for readers, and keep people warm going into the fall. And yeah, I really hope that you all love it, and I really can't wait for all of you to read it. I think that is my time, so I'm gonna kick it back over to the good folks at S&P Macmillan. But thank you all for having me, and I hope that you enjoy the pairing or whatever you read next.
Thank you so much, Casey. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but that sounds absolutely incredible. And I was not kidding when I said how excited I was to read it.
Yay!
So yes, thank you again so much for joining us today and for sharing. I know your books really do mean a lot to a lot of people. So we're so happy you could come.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Casey. Thank you. And librarian friends, the pairing is currently available to download on Edelweiss and NetGalley. So I hope you are inspired to dive in. Okay, and with that, we are kind of moving on to the book buzz section of today's program. And like I said, this is going to be matchmaking themed. So we're going to be kind of recommending titles to each other and telling you about some of our exciting genre picks coming up. And we are starting off with general fiction. And so Michelle, tell us about some fiction.
Yeah, so I am excited to present fiction today, but before I get into it, let me hear some recommendations for what you guys think I should read.
Okay, yes, this one I am very excited about. So Michelle, today I'm recommending to you The Wedding People by Alison Eshbach. So I love to recommend anything that has like a really beautiful blend of humor and heart, and this book is absolutely perfect for that. When Phoebe Stone arrives in Rhode Island for her vacation, she is immediately mistaken for one of the guests at the wedding taking place there that weekend. Meanwhile, the bride thinks she has accounted for every detail, but she didn't expect Phoebe to throw a wrench in things. When these two women meet, they suddenly can't stop confiding in each other, and they suspect they were meant to cross paths all along. Simultaneously hilarious and heartfelt, this is a fresh, wryly funny, and big-hearted story about taking stock of your life in the middle of it and starting anew. And I think fans of Frederick Backman, Tracy Lang, Bad Summer People, and Remarkably Bright Creatures are going to find much to love in this book.
And then my recommendation for Michelle is Letty Marks Gets Away with Murder by Karen Maine. Letty Marks is excellent at not having a life. The closest thing she has to friendship is playing Scrabble against an imaginary Monica Geller while watching Friends reruns. She's also excellent at not remembering what happened the day her mother and stepfather disappeared, until a letter from the parole board arrives and long-buried secrets come to the surface, tearing apart all of Lenny's carefully planned routines. For the first time, she finds herself forced to connect with the community around her, and unexpected new relationships begin to bloom. Letty Marks may finally get a life, but what if her past catches up to her first? Equal parts heartbreaking and heartwarming, Karen Maine's stunning debut is an irresistible novel about truth, secrets, vengeance, and family lost and found, with a heroine who is simply unforgettable. This is a fast-paced, witty mystery with major Finley Donovan vibes, so I know Michelle will love it.
It's so true. These are both top of my list, and I'm so excited to read them. Thank you, guys. All right, so I will be presenting some more fiction titles now, and my first title is Honey by Isabel Banta. It's 1997 when Amber Young is invited to join the girl group Cloud9. Soon she's catapulted to fame and finds her personal life under scrutiny. Surrounded by people who claim to love her but only wish to exploit her, Amber comes of age at a time when the kaleidoscope of public opinion can distort everything. This debut redefines the narratives of some of the most famous pop icons of the 90s and 2000s and reimagines the superstars we over-sexualized and underestimated and gives them the fresh, multifaceted story they deserve. Banta's writing is raw and engaging as she juxtaposes a hugely commercial subject with a sophisticated look at the way young women in the public eye are treated. Fans of Daisy Jones and the Six, Heard It in a Love Song, This Time Tomorrow, and Writers and Lovers should be sure to pick this one up. Next, I have The Fertile Earth by Ruthvika Rao. This emotional debut is a story of love and resistance surrounding two young people, born across social lines, set against a tumultuous political landscape in India. When the daughter of a powerful and wealthy family and a servant in her household forge a connection during their childhoods, the consequences reverberate throughout their lives. This is equal parts historical and political, with the enduring ties of love and family loyalty at its heart. Fans of Four Treasures of the Sky and of Women in Salt should be sure to pick this one up. Next, I have 888 Love and the Divine Burden of Numbers by Abraham Chang. This dazzling debut is Everything Everywhere All at Once meets High Fidelity, meets Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, with flavors of Olga Dies Dreaming, Interior Chinatown, and 10 Things I Hate About You. When a young man's uncle tells him that everyone gets just 7 great loves in their life, he takes it seriously. When he's in college, he meets a woman he falls head over heels for, but she's only his 6th great love. Was his uncle wrong? Is she the one and only? Or are the two of them fated for failure to make room for his 7th final love? 888 Love Has Everything, a tender narrative about a Chinese-American family, a beguiling, heartfelt love story, and an energetic, revelatory tour through 1990s pop culture. It is a love letter to Western pop culture, Eastern traditions, and being a first-generation New Yorker. Next up is Masquerade by O.O. Sangoyomi. Tomi Adeyemi meets Madeline Miller in this breathtaking debut. Loosely based on the myth of Persephone, Masquerade takes readers on a journey of epic power struggles and political intrigue that turn an entire region on its head. When a young woman who's been deemed a social pariah is abducted from her home, she discovers her kidnapper is a warrior king who has chosen her to be his wife. In a sudden change of fortune, she soars to the heights of society. But soon she must defy the cruel king she has been forced to wed and risk losing everything, including her life. Fans of Ariadne, Ordinary Monsters, and She Who Became the Sun will love this one. Next, I have Off the Books by Soma May Shang Fraser, a captivating debut following a cross-country road trip that will make you believe in the goodness of people. This story sheds light on the power of humanity during the most troubled of times. When a college dropout starts chauffeuring sex workers to make ends meet, she ends up on a road trip across America with a mysterious man carrying an enormous black suitcase. When she discovers the man's secret, it rocks her to her core and shifts this once casual, transactional road trip to one of moral stakes and dangerous consequences. Readers of Convenience Store Woman, The Island of Missing Trees, and Yerba Buena will want to be sure to pick this one up. Next, I have The Singer Sisters by Sarah Seltzer. This poignant debut is a story inspired by singer-songwriters such as Joni Mitchell and Alanis Morissette. A 90s alt-rocker attempts to follow in her folk legend mother's footsteps from the 60s as she catapults to fame. As she uncovers more about her mother's past, she's deeply shaken by a long-kept family secret. Soon the knowledge she gains propels her toward a musical betrayal that further fractures their relationship. The author's career as a journalist and cultural critic has given her the space to create a novel where she can accurately depict the inner workings of the music industry. In the same vein as Daisy Jones and the Six, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and Lessons in Chemistry, this novel joins a canon of timeless and vibrant novels which feature femme-forward protagonists and appeal to readers who, nostalgic for the past, root for the underdog. And then I have A Pair of Wings by Carol Hobson. This debut is a riveting, adventurous novel inspired by the life of pioneer aviatrix Bessie Coleman, a Black woman who learned to fly at the dawn of aviation and found freedom in the air. Coleman's story brings us into the drama and excitement of 1920 Chicago, across the Atlantic to train with French and German fighter pilots after World War I, and back to the US for an incredible tour of the nation. In a time and place stacked overwhelmingly against her, Coleman defied all expectations to follow her dreams and take to the sky. The author is a pilot herself and considers Coleman the pioneer who cut the path for her and believes it is her job to continue to work to make that path wider for those who follow. This is perfect for fans of Hidden Figures and readers of Great Circle, The Personal Librarian, The Jane Austen Society, and The Lindbergh Nanny.
All right, I am up next with romance. And as Donna mentioned in our introductions, I do love a good romance. So tell me what you got.
Okay, I'm going to go first, and I am so excited because I know Emily loves TJ Klune. So I am going to recommend The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And I think this is the perfect book for anyone looking for their next found family cozy fantasy read. This fantasy country is going through a political upheaval, and a librarian from the Great Library flees the city during a coup, taking some of the books with her. She returns to her childhood home to hide out and can't resist helping the island and the townspeople with some of the forbidden magic in the books. And it is just so cozy as she forms relationships with townspeople and her handsome neighbor, of course. And really just kind of discovers the joy of magic and connection. And you can start this book knowing that nothing really bad happens and just really lean into its warm hug. And it's just a delight.
And my recommendation is Just Some Stupid Love Story by Caitlin Doyle. This debut is about a rom-com screenwriter who doesn't believe in love and a divorce attorney who does. 15 years after their breakup, Molly and Seth are forced together at their high school reunion. This is where they decide to make a bet. Whoever can predict the fate of 5 couples before the next reunion must declare that the other is right about true love. The catch, the 5th couple is the 2 of them. This will remind you of Catherine Senner and Emily Henry and invoke the same nostalgic feelings as When Harry Met Sally and You've Got Mail. I know Emily will enjoy this because she's an Emily Henry fan and loves a long game romance that features delightful push and pull as well.
Those both sound incredible. And some more upcoming romance. Up first, we have The Last One by Rachel Housel Hall. Set in a dying world, enemies lurk in the shadows, and Kai can't remember anything about who she is. She woke up naked and voiceless in a forest, hunted by strange beasts that unlock new powers for Kai each time she fights them. But anytime she touches another person, a piece of her dies. On a mission to discover who she really is before she perishes, Kai must navigate lies to uncover the truth. Rachel Housel Hall's gorgeous, otherworldly blend of lyrical fantasy and immersive adventure is perfect for fans of N.K. Jemisin and The Witcher. Next is 5 Broken Blades by May Cortland. The 5 most dangerous liars in the land have been mysteriously summoned to work together for a single objective, to kill the Eternal King, who absolutely has it coming. Each of the 5 has a reason to want the king dead. That they can agree on. But only one can take the crown, and to survive, they'll have to find a way to trust each other. Game of Thrones meets Kill Bill in this Korean folklore-inspired story of betrayal and vengeance. Next is Pen Pal by J.T. Geisinger. High-octane sexiness meets addicting thrills and delicious twists in this dark romance. The first letter arrives on the day of Kayla's husband's funeral. It was postmarked from the state penitentiary and contained a single sentence, "I'll wait forever if I have to." It was signed by a stranger named Dante. As Kayla and Dante exchange letters back and forth, they grow closer, until one day the letters stop and Dante arrives at Kayla's doorstep. Nothing could prepare Kayla, or you, for what happens next. This romance has edge-of-your-seat B.A. Paris and Rachel Hawkins vibes with a twist that no one can stop talking about, plus the steamy romance a la Katie Robert. You won't be able to put this one down. Next is Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen. This is a smoking hot, hilarious novel about the perils of online dating. After a one-night stand with her clingy ex, Aaliyah James has an epiphany. She knows what she wants and she's ready to commit. When her family implies that her personality and her body might be too big to land a man, she makes up a non-existent boyfriend who happens to love her curves. Now she has 7 weeks to find the perfect boyfriend to rub in their faces. So she hits the apps, but her real match might just be closer than she expects. Next, Favorite by Tara DeWitt. This is filled with spicy summer fun, small town charm, and capital BF big feelings for fans of Emily Henry and Tessa Bailey. Sage Bird has lived in the coastal town of Spoons, Oregon her entire life, and she has learned to love it. When her ex gets engaged, she decides that she needs a win, so she signs up for the town's annual summer competition. All she needs is a partner. Enter Fisher Lang, a one-time hotshot chef from New York City. Fisher clashes with the townspeople. Struck. Sage will improve Fisher's image in the eyes of the town, and Fisher will be Sage's partner for the competition. But as their pact turns into steamy rendezvous, emotional wounds begin to heal, and the pair tries to savor every moment. They start to realize that summer is racing by much faster than they would like. Next is Ne'er Duke Well by Alexandra Vasti. In this steamy Regency romp, Lady Selena is determined to find the Duke of Stanhope the perfect wife. The only problem is she's starting to think that might be her. Selena is society's most proper debutante, save for one tiny secret. She runs an erotic circulating library for women. When Peter Stanhope asks for her help, she suggests courtship and a marriage to a lady of unimpeachable reputation, which is to say, definitely not herself. But matchmaking doesn't go according to plan, and the scorching chemistry between Peter and Selena proves impossible to resist. For the disreputable Duke and his unpredictable matchmaker, falling in love just might be the ultimate scandal. Next is One Last Shot by Betty Cayute. This is a debut romance from the creator of viral TikTok account Betty's Booklist about a supermodel and a photographer with a past marriage pact who meet again 10 years later on a photo shoot in Italy. Will this photo shoot be the key to getting one last shot at love, or will it be a final goodbye? This deeply romantic debut is perfect for fans of Carly Fortune, Elle Kennedy, and Sally Thorne. Next is Hate to Fake It to You by Amanda Sellett. In this laugh-out-loud funny rom-com, a waitress masquerading as an influencer and a wildlife photographer are on a collision course with romance and chaos. Hate to Fake It to You is a zany, modern twist on a screwball comedy classic about figuring out what you really want by pretending to be someone you're not. The banter of Maisie Eddings' The Plus One mixes with the paradise setting of The Unhoneymooners and the comedy of the movie Just Go With It to make a hilarious rom-com full of heart and wit. Next is The Great Dating Fake Off by Livy Hart. Two people agree to fake date their friends and accompany them to a wedding. Then they meet each other at that wedding. When they discover that they're both there to protect their friends, they quickly become faced with a big problem, developing real feelings for someone else's fake partner, and the fallout if they get caught. Livy Hart specializes in relatable heroines and swoon-worthy leading men, and this is no exception.
Okay, my turn now. I love sci-fi, fantasy, and horror so much. What should I be reading next?
All right, I'm going to go first. My pick for Amanda is Foul Days, and this is a fantasy that is rooted in Slavic folklore about a monster hunting witch who is forced to trade away the source of her power to escape her monstrous ex. But murder and intrigue follow her. It has the atmospheric folkloric fantasy of spinning silver, the bear and the nightingale, and For the Wolf, combined with the dark romance and shadow magic of Holly Black's Book of Night and Shadow and Bone, plus the monster fighting action of The Witcher. I'm almost certain that Amanda loves several of those things that I just listed, so this is definitely a book that she would be into.
And my recommendation is The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands by Sarah Brooks. This is set in an alternate 19th century where the human and natural worlds collide, and it spins a powerful climate allegory about our relationship to nature and how we got to where we are. The Trans-Siberian Express travels across the wastelands as passengers inside enjoy catching sight of the terrifying creatures outside. On the train's last journey, something went horribly wrong, but no one seems to remember exactly what happened. Now the train is about to embark again, and there are warning signs that the rules of the wastelands are changing. This debut will especially appeal to fans of Ordinary Monsters, Hellbent, Piranesi, and the Midnight Library. I think Amanda will be a big fan of the way this novel blends historical fiction with fantasy and sci-fi. I also think the alternative history piece will definitely hold her interest.
Y'all are spot on. Those sound incredible. Thank you. Okay, some more sci-fi fantasy horror that I think should be on everybody's radar. My first book is Running Close to the Wind by Alexandra Rowland. Our Flag Means Death meets Six of Crows in this standalone queer pirate fantasy adventure. A former agent of the Ministry of Intelligence has accidentally stolen the single most expensive secret in the world, and the only place to flee with a secret that big is the open ocean. To find a buyer with deep enough pockets, he teams up with his on-again, off-again pirate Captain X on a quest to become legends. This is set in the same world as the author's previous book, A Taste of Golden Iron, though completely stands alone and provides fun in spades, ready to whisk readers away on a funny, queer normative misadventure. Next is The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. This is a snappy, standalone heist adventure for all the dragon-loving Fourth Wing fans out there. It's full of conniving dragons, political intrigue, and a little bit of heat. Enarod prefers to live in the jungles of the deep, and after an adventuring party saves her from capture by the local warlord, she is eager to return to her solitary life. But these cunning misfits intend to take her on a harrowing journey to the Cloud Cities, where they need her help to steal from the dragon's hoard. This is Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern, but for a modern audience, and I think will also be great for fans of HBO's House of the Dragon, as well as Naomi Novik's Temeraire series and Jen Lyons' own Chorus of Dragons quintet. Next is Bury Your Gaze. Beloved author Chuck Tingle is back with a new horror novel, this time about a TV writer being pressured to kill off the gay characters for the algorithm, and when he refuses, he realizes that he's just put a target on his back. Chuck has been the champion of the underdog his whole career, and he continues his message of love to enact change with Bury Your Gaze. It's a terrific addition to the wholesome horror canon where the scares are more approachable and the power of love saves the day. I think this would be perfect for fans of supernatural monster of the week type shows or fans of sci-fi with a bit of a dark bent. Next is A Mask of Flies by Matthew Lyons. This is a crime horror novel that blends It Follows and The Outsider with a pinch of The Evil Dead, in which a criminal and the cop she's taken hostage must find their way to safety, pursued by threats both human and supernatural after a failed bank robbery. Lyons has expertly combined the tense mainstream drama of a thriller with the creeping supernatural terror of a horror novel. This is perfect for readers who love that feeling of something lurking beyond the tree line. Next is Moonbound by Robin Sloan. The beloved author of Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore and Sourdough has written a novel with full scope and ambitious imagination that mixes science fiction, fantasy, good old-fashioned literary storytelling, and ribald enthusiasm for what's next. It's a coming-of-age adventure story as our main character is called to explore a world full of eye-popping discoveries and challenges. With the best comps being the likes of Hayao Miyazaki and Ursula K. Le Guin, this is fun, brainy escapism at its best, and an old-fashioned adventure across a non-apocalyptic future Earth. Next is The West Passage by Jared Pechacek. A palace the size of a city, ruled by giant ladies of unknowable eldritch origin. A land left to slow decay, drowning in the debris of generations. All of this and more awaits you within The West Passage, a delightfully mysterious and intriguingly weird medieval fantasy unlike anything you've read before. Though it introduces readers to a world of nightmares, The West Passage is unadulterated fun. New, vivid characters and bizarre situations pop up in every chapter, danger lurks around every corner, and an agile, funny narrative voice keeps the whole book bouncing along. The effect is a perfect blend of humor and horror. Next is The Daughter's War, set in Christopher Buehlman's world of giant war ravens, magical tattoos, and terrifying goblins introduced in The Black-Tongued Thief. The Daughter's War is a prequel adventure with a fan-favorite character on her journey from pampered daughter of a nobleman to a fearsome warrior. As we've seen with the success of the D&D movie, The Witcher, and The Black-Tongued Thief itself, fans are still clamoring for that classic fantasy adventure. And Buehlman's voice really radiates off the page and can immediately hook you into his wholly original fantasy adventures. Next is Rogue Sequence by Zach Topping. This is Blade Runner meets John Wick in a sci-fi action adventure following a super soldier whose very existence has been outlawed by the same society that created him. With precision and far too believable characters, Rogue Sequence provides a unique, thrilling, exciting look at what it would be like to be a living weapon turned loose on their friends. Zach is a veteran himself, having served 2 tours in Iraq, and visibly brings this knowledge to the work, making Rogue Sequence really authentic and exciting. And next, over to Michelle.
All right, I will be talking about mystery thriller, but first I want to hear your recommendations for me.
All right, my pick for Michelle is One Big Happy Family by Jamie Day. The author of the Library Reads pick, The Block Party, is back with your next summer suspense obsession. Now that their father is dead, the 3 Bishop sisters have arrived at the legendary family-owned hotel to claim it. But Charlie, the hotel's chambermaid, is keeping quite a few secrets and is unsure what the sisters' arrival means for her. With a hurricane looming, there's murder in the air, and not everyone will check out after one weekend that could be the death of them all. I know Michelle enjoys family stories, and this one comes with Jamie Day's signature razor-sharp wit and thrilling twists, making it the ideal summer read.
And I am recommending The Nature of Disappearing by Cami Cunningham Grant. It's about a fishing and hunting guide who spends her days in Idaho's endless woods and scenic rivers, who teams up with the ex-boyfriend who left her freezing and half dead on the side of the road 3 years ago when the friend who introduced them goes missing. As the two trace their friend's path through miles of wild country, she can't deny there's still chemistry crackling between them. But the deeper they press into the wilderness, the more she begins to suspect that a darker truth lies in the woods, and her friend isn't the only one in danger. Fans of the sinister landscape and crackling relationships of Yellow Jackets will find much to love here.
I am so excited for these. Thank you for these great recommendations. And I will be talking about If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finley. For years, Ryan Richardson has relived that terrible car accident he got into with his girlfriend. But with no trace of his girlfriend or the car, a cloud of suspicion hangs over Ryan, even though he's never charged. Now, Ryan has changed his last name and entered law school. He thinks he's put his past behind him until the car is finally found and new clues are unearthed. This thriller is told from the perspective of several distinct, compelling characters whose paths intersect, detonating into a story of twist after pulse-pounding twist. It is guaranteed to both pull at your heartstrings and leave you breathless. Fans of Finley's previous books, as well as Dark Horse and Things We Do in the Dark, should be sure to pick this one up. Next, I have Blood in the Cup by Alejandro Nodarce. This is a gritty, voice-driven debut thriller about a man returning home from prison to try to save his family's butcher shop from vicious poachers. From the Miami streets behind the glitz to the untamable deadly Everglades, one man will revel in the beauty and the danger of the place he calls home as he tries to save his family. Like the main character, the author is the son of Cuban exiles. He is the designated butcher at his family barbecues and loves to camp in the Everglades. Born and raised in Miami, his voice lends authenticity to every page. This is perfect for fans of Devil House, Razorblade Tears, and Final Spin. Next is Stranger at the Wedding by A.E. Gauntlet. This sizzling thriller debut will make you think twice before saying I do. Annie never really believed in love. That is, until she met Mark at a group counseling session for trauma survivors. Their whirlwind romance propels Annie through their courtship all the way to their wedding day. But as she stands at the altar, she spots a stranger in the crowd and soon learns that her new life isn't going to be the happily ever after that she had planned. Who was the stranger at the wedding and what really happened to Mark's first wife? If you love The Golden Couple, Gone Girl, and The Younger Wife, then this one is for you. Next is Glass Houses by Madeline Ashby. Think Agatha Christie by way of Black Mirror for this one. A group of employees and their CEO, celebrating the sale of their remarkable emotion mapping AI algorithm, crash onto a not quite deserted tropical island. Luckily, those who survive find a fully stocked private palace with all the latest technological updates. The house, however, has more secrets than anyone might have guessed, and a much darker reason for having been built and left behind. The author's own background in futurism and AI gives a darkly realistic lens to her writing, especially with a story that skewers startup culture while skillfully referencing classic mystery tropes. This one will certainly appeal to fans of And Then There Were None, The Power, and Glass Onion. Next is Trouble in Queenstown by Delia Pitts. This is the first installment in a new, character-driven private investigator series that delivers a huge emotional punch. When PI Vandy Myrick agrees to help the mayor's nephew spy on his soon-to-be ex-wife, it seems like a routine job. But she soon realizes there's trouble beneath the surface when a racially charged murder with connections to the mayor's family rocks Queenstown. Fingers point and opposition to the inquiry hardens. Vandy's sightlines begin to blur as her determination to uncover the truth deepens. This is perfect for fans of Pay Dirt Road and Under Lock and Skeleton Key. And next I have Red River Road by Anna Downs. This haunting thriller features a beautiful setting and a character-driven story with a gothic edge. It explores the dark side of women traveling alone and delves into how our minds can deceive us following trauma. When her younger sister vanishes, Katie Sweeney sets out to find her. When Katie's path collides with that of Beth, who is on the run from her own dark past, she realizes that Beth might be her best and only chance of finding the truth. And the two women form an uneasy alliance to find out what really happened in this beautiful and dangerous place. This is a perfect fit for fans of all the dangerous things and what lies in the woods.
Okay, and I am back with nonfiction. What kind of nonfiction should I be checking out?
My recommendation for Amanda is A Hunger to Kill by Kim Major and Lisa Pulitzer. In this fascinating and profoundly chilling account, Detective Kim Major, a real-life version of Clarice Starling, reveals how she closed in on and broke one of Ohio's most infamous serial killers. On September 13th, 2016, in the small town of Ashland, Ohio, 911 dispatchers received a call from a terrified woman who claimed to be kidnapped. The man holding her hostage was Sean Great, a serial killer whom the press later dubbed the Lady Killer. A key to his conviction and death sentence were Great's extensive recorded confessions, all extracted by one woman, Detective Kim Major. Amanda and I have talked a lot about how we both love the show Mindhunter, and so this seemed like the perfect recommendation.
And my recommendation is The Fall of Roe by Elizabeth Diaz and Lisa Lehrer. In 2012, a group of conservative women worried that their political party was falling prey to the swell of progressivism in American culture, and slowly they would turn a minority belief into something that defined the entire nation. The Fall of Roe doesn't just speak to one side of the political divide, and Lehrer and Diaz write for the book club audience with an accessible story that generates conversation around coffee tables and Bible study groups. This book asks us to rethink what abortion even is and why America cares about it so much. I know Amanda will enjoy this fast-paced peek behind the curtain of power and the accessibility of the ways in which Diaz and Lehrer talk about this complex issue.
Thank you. Yes, those both sound really good. Next is Loud. Drew Afualo is best known as the internet's crusader for women and is at the head of a new generation of entertainment's rising stars. Loud is part manual, part manifesto, and part memoir. It makes it clear that behind her fearsome laugh is a mission and a life philosophy, a strategy for self-confidence from the inside out, and a pathway to once and for all remove win from the center of how women and femmes think about themselves. Next is Everything and Nothing at Once by Joelle Leon. Growing up in the Bronx, Joelle was taught that being soft, being vulnerable could end your life. Shaped by a singular view of Black masculinity, espoused by the media, by friends and family, and by society, he learned instead to care about the gold around his neck and the number of bills in his wallet. It wasn't until years later that Joelle understood he didn't have to be defined by these things. Now, in a collection of wide-ranging essays, he takes readers from his upbringing in the Bronx to his life raising two little girls of his own, destructing what it means to be a Black man in America. Next is Another Word for Love by Carvel Wallace. Wallace excavates layers of his own history situated in the struggles and beauty of growing up Black and queer in America, with courage, vulnerability, and a remarkable expansiveness, not to mention an unrivaled, thrilling, and stylistic storytelling verve. Another word for love makes an irresistible case for life, the fullness of our humanity, and of course, for love itself. Next, Hip Hop is History by Questlove. Over the last year, hip hop has been celebrating its monumental half-century anniversary. Initially written off as a fad by the mainstream, hip hop has proven to have staying power and lasting influence, redefining nearly every cultural sector, from fashion to film to TV. In this landmark book, Questlove, the Grammy and Oscar winner and New York Times bestselling multi-hyphenate cultural icon, skillfully traced the convergence of creative and cultural forces that shaped hip hop since its inception, and how the genre has evolved up to the present moment. And next, The Women in the Valley of the Kings by Kathleen Shepard. During the golden age of exploration, there were women working and exploring before Howard Carter discovered the tomb of King Tut. Before men even conceived of claiming the story for themselves, women were working in Egypt to lay the groundwork for all future exploration. And Women in the Valley of the Kings upends the grand male narrative of Egyptian exploration and shows how a group of courageous women charted unknown territory and changed the field of Egyptology forever.
All right, I'm bringing us home with YA. So give me your best recommendations.
Okay, I am super excited about my recommendation, The Dangerous Ones by Lauren Blackwood. Emily and I just had a conversation about our respective Twilight fandom, and now I am happy to say vampires are back. This time they're fighting in the American Civil War. Set in 1863 Pennsylvania, this romantic historical fantasy from New York Times bestselling author Lauren Blackwood pairs up a Union vampire with Jerusalem, an escaped slave with powerful demigod-like abilities. Together, they set out to change the course of the war and take down the vampire who destroyed everyone Jerusalem loved. The author has woven together an irresistible romance in an atmospheric world with magic, chemistry, and an enemies to lovers love story for the ages. Fans of Dread Nation, Legendborn, and Beasts of Prey will be captivated by this stunning fantasy.
And my recommendation is Annie LeBlanc is Not Dead Yet by Molly Morris. This debut is an emotional sapphic romance with a delightful supernatural twist. When Wilson wins her town's Welcome Back contest and resurrects her ex-best friend Annie, she's thrilled. But the town's resurrected dead can only return for 30 days. When Wilson discovers a loophole that means Annie might be able to stay for good, she must find a way to keep her alive. This is perfect for those who loved You've Reached Sam, Cool for the Summer, and Never Ever Getting Back Together. This genre mashup is sure to appeal to Emily because she's a Dahlia Adler and Emma Lord fan, and I also know she'll enjoy the story of evolving friendship.
Those two sound very different, but both very, very good. All right, and now we're gonna close us out with some more YA. First up is Guardians of Dawn Ami. Sailor Moon meets Beauty and the Beast in the second book in S.J. Jones's richly imagined fantasy series. Ami has become the sole caretaker of her mentally ill father, whose rantings and ravings may be more than just mere ramblings. They may be part of a prophecy. Excuse me. When her father is arrested for trespassing, Ami offers herself to the mysterious beast in the castle. As the tenuous piece holding together the morning realms begins to unravel, Ami and Jara, who you might remember from book 1, must journey to the root of the world in order to restore balance to an increasingly chaotic world. Next is Twelfth Night by Alexine Farrell-Fallmuth, from the same author behind the New York Times bestselling Atlas 6 series, but using a pen name, comes a YA romantic comedy and coming-of-age story about a teen gamer who falls in love with the star quarterback at her school while playing online video games together, except she's using a pseudonym and he has no idea who she really is. With the enemies to lovers of Red, White, and Royal Blue, the unlikely friendship-turned-romance of Heartstopper, and the laugh-out-loud rendition of a Shakespeare classic like She's the Man, this one is sure to be a triumph. Next is The Ghost of Us by James L. Sutter. Kara is a ghost hunter, but she's not very good at it and has never found a ghost. Until one day, when she encounters the ghost of Aiden, a classmate who died last year. Aiden's sister Meredith has fallen into a depression in the wake of his death, and he can't pass on to the afterlife until he knows that she'll be okay. So Aiden and Kara strike a deal. He'll give her evidence that ghosts exist if she can romance Meredith and cheer her up. So with Aiden's help, Kara seduces Meredith out of her slump, but finds herself accidentally falling for her in the process. I'd recommend this swoony YA romance to fans of One Last Stop and Cemetery Boys. Next is 6 More Months of June by Daisy Garrison, a romantic debut about the exhilarating highs and messy lows that swirl together when high school comes to an end. Perfect for fans of Carly Fortune and Jenny Han. Golden Boy Kaplan and nerdy Mina have been best friends for years, contradicting their high school's social order. When Mina starts dating Kaplan's friend, the status quo is disrupted and long-hidden feelings are confessed, shaking up their senior year. This friends-to-lovers romance perfectly captures the charm, feeling, and heart of the high school rom-com movies we all know and love. Next is The Quince Project by Jessica Parra. The wedding planner gets a YA makeover in this delightful and heartfelt novel. Castillo Torres loves party planning, but so far she's mostly been planning small events at her school. When a misunderstanding leads to Cass planning a quinceañera for a famous YouTuber, Cass sees it as her chance to make it big. Throughout the process, Cass forms new friendships, finds love, and grieves her mother, learning how to make space for both sadness and happiness. Next is The Calculation of You and Me by Serena Kaler. A calculus nerd enlists her surly classmates' help to win back her ex-boyfriend, but when sparks start to fly, she realizes that there's no algorithm for falling in love. As the semester heats up with yearning love notes, a syllabus of romance novels, and late nights spent with a boy who escapes any box her brain tries to put him in, Marlowe starts to question if there really is a set solution to love. For a girl who's never met a problem she can't solve, this time she got the math so very wrong. Hand this to YA fans of Allie Hazelwood, Pride and Prejudice, and to all the boys I've loved before. Next is Castle of the Cursed by Romina Garber. After a mysterious attack claims the lives of her parents, Estella is desperate to solve the case. So she accepts an invitation to live overseas with an estranged aunt at their ancestral Spanish castle, La Sombra. Beneath its Gothic facade, La Sombra harbors a trove of family secrets. As the mysteries pile up, it feels to Estella like everyone in the tiny town of Oscuro is lying, and that whoever was behind the attack has followed her to Spain. The deeper she ventures into La Sombra's secrets, the more certain she becomes that the suspect she's chasing has already found her, and they're closer than she ever realized. Next up is The White Guy Dies First by Terry J. Benton Walker. Killer clowns, a hungry hedge maze, and rich kids who got bored. Friendly cannibals, impossible slashers, and the dead who don't stay dead, and an old house that just wants friends forever. These stories may be filled with ancient terrors and modern villains, but go ahead, go into the basement, set foot on the old plantation, and open the magician's mystery box, because this time, the white guy dies first. This incredible horror anthology, edited by Terry J. Benton Walker, includes stories from best-selling and critically acclaimed contributors such as Chloe Gong, Kaylin Bayron, Kendari Blake, Marco Shiro, Tiffany D. Jackson, and more. And with that, we have reached the end of today's program. We hope that you learned about some exciting forthcoming books. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you again next time. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, wow, that was fantastic. Thank you, Amanda, Emily, and Michelle. And thank you, Casey, for your wonderful presentation. So many great books. I have so many new lists. So tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's video recording, the slide presentation, the title list, and a certificate of completion. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those on the screen today. Staff training in services local conference. Booklist can help. You can now request free copies of Booklist and Booklist Reader for upcoming staff training programs, so that you can help the next generation of library workers become readers advisory and collection development superstars. Scan the QR code on the screen, visit our website, or email info@booklistonline.com for more details for these exciting offers and opportunities. Mastering the art of readers advisory involves ongoing study, both of major concepts that form the backbone of a good RA practice and of the skills that make your RA practice effective in the day-to-day world. This series of Booklist workshops on Thursday, May 14, is designed to keep you up to speed on both the ideas and the practice that will enhance your RA game. Visit the Booklist website to register now so you can learn from experts in the field about how genres relate to each other, how to talk to patrons about their leisure reading, and how to write an effective book annotation. Oh, thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. A huge thank you to our wonderful panelists and to our sponsor, Macmillan Library. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.